Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Shorts Roundtable. I am Bridget. I am one of the Filmmaker Conversations production coordinators here at SIF, and I will be hosting today's talk. First, we want to take a moment here to offer special thanks to PNC for sponsoring our Filmmaker Conversations content throughout the entirety of this festival. On today's roundtable, we'll be joined by filmmakers from some of our short films included in Shorts Program 10. With this in mind, allow me to welcome our guests to today's conversations. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have you.
Hi, everybody.
So to get us started, I would like to ask each of you to introduce yourself, your film, your role with the film, and also let us know where you're joining us from today. And Jeremy, we will start with you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am Jeremy Glazer from the short film On the Ride. I'm the writer, producer, and actor from the film, and I'm calling in from LA.
I'm Nora Mariana. I'm the writer and producer of Alina, and I'm calling in from Los Angeles as well.
I'm Dia Sokol Savage. So happy to be here. I love Cleveland. Wish I was there in person. I'm calling from Boulder, Colorado, and I'm the director of Welcome Strangers.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Jackson. I am with the film Welcome Strangers. I am one of the characters in the film, and I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Toledo. I am the director and writer of Victoria, and I'm calling from Madrid, Spain.
Hi, I'm Maya Albanese, and I'm the writer and director of the film Freeze, and I'm calling in from Los Angeles.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Franklin. I'm the editor of the film I Can Change, directed by Jim Jenkins, and I'm filling in for him today. And I'm calling in from Connecticut.
Well, first, thank you all so much for taking your time to come out and join us today. And Dia, thank you for the shout out for Cleveland. We appreciate that. The first thing we'd like to ask each of you is what led to you making this particular film, and perhaps how you became involved in the making as well. So, Jeremy, back to you.
Yeah, well, I've been an actor for the past couple of decades, and I wanted to take the reins of my own project and trying to find inspiration on what to write, which is obviously the first thing. I was poking around on some social media, and I saw a news clip about a man who rode his bike about 1,500 miles to meet the man who now has his daughter's heart keeping him alive. And just those two worlds coming together and how they were able to help each other move on in both their lives through this obviously tragic event really spoke to me, and I thought I can make that my own. So I sat down and started writing that story, and it just flew out of me. And the next step was to just start bringing on the crew. And obviously it was something I wanted to play and showcase for myself. And I don't know, I have something about goodbyes. It's always something in films that always resonated with me. So obviously I needed to implement that into my film, and I wanted to play that and showcase that. And that was basically the inspiration of the story. And then one step at a time, next thing you know, we're now at SIF.
Yeah, how we got involved. I came across the story of these women smugglers who saved thousands of children in the Warsaw Ghetto, and simply wanted to know why I hadn't heard that story before. It really resonated with me because my mom is Jewish and used very creative methods to escape an anti-Semitic dictatorship. And so I was really taken by the story of these everyday women using whatever was at their disposal to do really extraordinary acts in a very dark moment in history. So it really came kind of from a personal place and just a deep interest in telling a story like this from the female perspective.
I was inspired to make a film about Sarah Jackson, who you're about to hear from in 30 seconds, when it was the summer of 2018. The Trump administration's zero tolerance policy had just gotten into effect at the border. I was feeling really helpless. my mom went to a training at Casa de Paz, Sarah's organization, and told me about it. And it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, I've been so focused on the border and what's happening. And I also hadn't thought about this little slice of a moment, right, when people get released from detention and what happens to them. And I was just really interested to find out who is this woman who has been thinking about this and been doing this work kind of long before this policy went into effect.
I like to say that I never thought that I would start Casa de Paz. It just kind of happened, just like I never thought someone like Dia would come along and want to share a story. It just kind of happened. I actually was given an opportunity to go down to the Mexico-US border to learn more about immigration. And I decided to go on the trip because it was a free trip to Mexico, quite honestly. And when I went down there for the first time in my life, I witnessed families being separated by ICE detention. And I knew deep down in my gut that just wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the right way to treat people. So I came back to Denver, Colorado, found out that there's a for-profit immigrant detention center here. And nearly every day immigrants are released to a foreign city trying to find their way home. And I knew that there was something that we could do to make that transition from ICE detention to home a little bit easier. And here we are 9 years later.
Probably inspired me the need to show in the cinema that the problems of trans people go beyond being trans people. Many of them have children, or many have family problems like anyone else, and it is not usual to see it in the cinema. We always talk about the problems of trans people because they are trans, but more things happen to them in their lives, besides being trans. You know.
Hi. For the freeze, it really just, I actually put my life on paper. It was like catharsis. I was in my early 30s, feeling frustrated about trying to pursue, a career like film directing and writing, as well as wanting to have a family, and was realizing that there was kind of a constant conflict every morning waking up that me and also most of my female peers were feeling. And so I kind of just, I didn't even know that I would make the film. I really kind of wrote it down more as catharsis and just like kind of a love letter to female humanity, taking a humorous lens to it, heightening it a bit, making it fun was something I really wanted to do. And also dark, because of a dark sense of humor. And I do think the feelings that women go through in their 30s can be pretty dark and serious as well. So I wanted to kind of do a mixed tone, mixed genre in it. And it's about, a woman who runs out of time to have kids after she gets left by the love of her life, and kind of the pressures around us and the new influences of things being marketed to us, like egg freezing, can further complicate and kind of exacerbate our anxiety. And it's a crazy time in a woman's life. So that's Freeze. And I really think it's just like the most honest film I've ever made, and the most true to my own natural sense of humor. I really just came straight from the heart to the page.
I got involved in I Can Change through Jim Jenkins, who's the director and the writer of it. I can say that it sounds like we might have the only dumb comedy in the group here. It is truly a beautifully stupid film, which we embraced wholeheartedly. Jim wrote it, and he's a great writer. We both come from commercial backgrounds. Working in advertising, and have worked together for years. And I've always been bugging him about doing a short, and he finally shot one, and it was wonderful. It's a bizarre story about somebody who's late for his wedding rehearsal and then has some unusual reasons why. And that's really all I could probably tell you without ruining it. But although a lot of people have probably seen it at this point. but it's a fun movie, and just getting involved with it as an editor, it was just a blast because, obviously everybody on this call or everybody in this Q&A is doing everything that they're doing out of passion, right? Everybody does a short for passionate reasons, whether it's you're really dedicated to the work or the people involved in it. And this was the same thing. You just, you fall in love with your film and you carry it through to the end and hope that people respond to it.
Well, thank you for that. And as Chris pointed out, we do like kind of grouping people with different stories into one program. It kind of makes your films kind of pop against each other. So yes, we do have some serious and I guess stupid comedies in the mix. So, but we do like giving that kind of genre differential in our programs. So, but to follow up with our first question, we were hoping that each of you might share with the audience one thing that you would like them to know about the filming of your short, and then, or any behind the scenes kind of action that you would like to share with them. Jeremy, back to you.
Sure, yeah. Well, as you know, it was a lot revolved around biking, road biking. So, low budget, we didn't really have much money to hire a stunt coordinator. So I do have a stunt in the film, and we had to cram all of the biking into one day. It was a 3-day shoot for the whole film. And so we were filming the stunt towards the end of the day, and so I wanted to be prepared. And the day before, I went a little stunt training with my friend, and I ended up running right into her and spilling off the bike and injuring my shoulder right before we started a 3-day shoot. But luckily, it wasn't bad enough that it interrupted the entire thing, and we survived. And I just used the pain as part of the film. So we survived, we got all the bike shots, and we made it work.
Right. There's a lot for us because it's sort of a crazy thing to try to do a period piece on a budget. But I would say like the standout was on the first day. We didn't really realize that the 3-month-old baby would very much be the star that the whole production would have to revolve around, just in terms of there's so many rules about having a baby on set. And so it was just, we found out like right before filming that we could really only have the baby for, I don't know, just like 5-10 minutes total. And we had so many scenes with that baby. So it was just, we're very grateful that she was a wonderful performer and gave us everything on the first take. But yeah, I think that was probably our greatest surprise, was underestimating the importance around having such a young little creature on set with us.
Behind the scenes things. I mean, the main thing is like the film is very serious. It makes me cry still when I watch some of it, and it was really emotionally wrenching to be there, kind of seeing how disorienting it is for people who are walking out in a prison in the middle of the night in a city they don't know with no resources. But we also had a lot of fun, sort of the reason, the progression of when you see people come out and they're so disoriented and freaked out, and, the volunteers pick them up. And then by the end, they're like laughing and the house is filled with warmth. And, there was just a lot of, there was so much sort of laughing, and people were really tickled. Everyone who we filmed who was newly released just was like, it's kind of crazy to like get to the United States and be like, by the way, you're in a movie. And like, it was just it was so, a lot of like silliness and fun and hamming. And I loved seeing the sort of side of people once they relaxed enough and had connected with their families and kind of knew where they were going, to have them really be playful with us, even though it didn't necessarily make the cut.
I think one thing that surprised me behind the scenes making the film was how willing the folks in the film were to share their stories with us and to share with complete strangers how they were treated and what they just went through. I know that a lot of folks are scared and don't want to go public with their story of seeking asylum in the United States. And to see the bravery and the courage of the folks that you meet in our movie was very inspiring to me. And like Dia mentioned, there was one gentleman, this didn't make the cut, but one gentleman was released from the detention center, Jesus. And as he came to the casa, we were talking and laughing and having dinner, making plans for him to get home, actually to LA, where his family was. And as we finalized his travel plans and got his plane ticket and all that good stuff, we're waving goodbye to him. He's on his way to the airport with a volunteer. And he's like, I'm headed to LA to become a star. And it was just a fun moment where, like Dia mentioned earlier, it's like, welcome to the USA. And yet now if you'd like, you can be part of a movie. And knowing that it made people feel really special to be able to share their story with us.
Well, the two actresses, Abril Zamora and Lorena Lopez, have been friends for many years, and they already played the role of a married couple together before the Abril transition, when she was still Abel. Those memories served them a lot to work on this short film. They have a very good friendship, and they know each other perfectly. They know a lot about the feelings that are shown in the film.
For Freeze, gosh, it was a huge labor of love making this film. Lots of VFX in it, which was, as we all know, with everything with shorts and having not a lot of money, it was especially challenging to have so much surrealism and VFX in it. And it was really, it was a massive community effort that came together. And one of the things we ended up doing for like extras and background actors was just put people on the crew as the roles. So if you watch Freeze, the angry female mob, every single producer, myself included, the intern that was like just working in the office in the location we were shooting in, like we recruited like everyone to be in the mob. And then, like the opening sequence of the fertility scientist, my producer is playing the fertility scientist, and we've cloned him. So we have 3 of him. It's all the same person. So there's a lot of little tricks when you're working with like a big cast and VFX where we're like, people are wearing many hats. And then the most fun of all is the miniature babies in the film, which was the kind of shot that was one of those, you have those images in your head before you make a film that you're like, that's sort of the whole film launches from the image, is this idea that you kind of see babies everywhere when you have baby fever. And the miniature babies are the babies of people in the film. That they brought in, and we gave the babies like muffins and things and put them in giant salad bowls covered in green screen material. And then just like filmed them on the green screen, like doing things. And then we rotoscoped each of those babies individually into an egg carton. So there's a lot of work for one shot, but also like one of the most fun shoots I've ever done, and so cute.
I think with I Can Change being the editor of the film, I think, and probably everybody on this call can attest to the fact that there's not a lot of high action going on in an editing room. It's pretty solitary, and you're pretty much to yourself. I think that the big moment that happens in an editing room and the excitement is when you hit play for the first time, when there are other people in the room, to see how they're going to respond to your work. And that becomes a whole out-of-body experience. And I'm sure every filmmaker on this call can attest to that. That is the most glorious and worst feeling at the same time that can happen when you're screening it for the first time. And I remember doing that with Jim, and it worked great. But I think I had to have a full day to recover after working on it for hours and hours and hours trying to get it through. And then I think that the biggest surprise that everybody, I'm sure, experienced is when we found out that the pandemic hit and we weren't going to be able to see our films with an audience, which is really what you want to do. You want to be in the room when people watch it. And the glorious thing about the film festivals this year is they've been able to go on and, all these films can still get seen. And hopefully, you guys will be able to experience it with an audience at some point when you're sitting in the back and scrunched in a ball while people are watching it, so as an editor, I can't give too much exciting stories, but it's the angle that we take on it.
Yeah, we were disappointed that we had to go online again this year, but we're very excited to bring Q&As this year. So we are very excited that you are all able to join us today. I know it takes a lot of time out of your day, so we appreciate you being here. And we want to just thank you so much for sharing your stories and the insights into the behind the scenes of your films. And we appreciate it on behalf of SIFF, and allow me to thank you so much for joining today for today's Roundtable. In addition, we have to thank you, our audience, for joining us for today's Shorts Roundtable. We wouldn't be here without your ongoing support, and we wouldn't be here, and we're excited to be here as you bring film home. We hope you'll consider supporting our challenge match again this year, presented by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, to support the future of our festival. The goal is to reach $145,000 this year, and we are so grateful for any amount you're able to contribute, to make a donation, or to purchase tickets, or check out our full schedule of filmmaker conversations. Please visit clevelandfilm.org. With that, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again very soon. Thank you so much for joining, guys.
Thank you.